Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Welcome, everyone. It's Career Happy Hour. I'm Andrew Beach, teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate value to find great opportunities faster. That's whether you're working or not through a pragmatic process of branding, planning, and effective networking. If that's something you need, we certainly have an application you can fill out to get coaching. That is down in the description, depending on the platform that you're on. If you're on Instagram, we have that in our linked bio. So go ahead and access that when you have an opportunity. Today, I was really hearing and feeling a lot regarding the recession, right? This pending recession. And gosh, it's been so long since we had a recession. And how do we respond as job-seeking professionals or people that are even in a good job right now? I mean, what can I do to recession-proof? So this concept, this idea kind of came to me, and I'm thinking today about some things that would help you recession-proof your career. And so that's the topic of today's session. So by the way, this is Career Happy Hour. That means that you can get live coaching. Live coaching means you click the link in the description that says join me now for live coaching, and I will bring you on live and we will have a conversation about your needs, your wants, your challenges, whatever you're facing professionally speaking. If you're open to it, you can activate your webcam and you can come on here and we can have a conversation. That's the beauty of Restream and this program. The other thing I would advocate is if you have any questions at all, you can also put those in the chat or the description or the comments below. Even after the live stream is over, you can put your questions out there, and I'll do my best to keep tabs on all of the different channels I'm on and respond to your questions as they come in. And so please, anything related to career, leadership, that sort of thing is fine. And regardless of which platform you're on, you can always find me on LinkedIn. That is the place that I hang out the most and where I'm certainly the most active for plenty of reasons, not only for my business, but for the affiliations I have. And of course, today's session is my views only. It's not the views of any company I'm affiliated with. And so you may hear some perspectives here today, and all of those perspectives certainly are my own. And don't think I haven't thought about the downsides of being out there and being public. So I have, but hey, you do what you can. And so one of the things you can do as a participant, regardless of which platform you're joining from, is to think of LinkedIn as a professional networking site where you can connect with other professionals, and sharing your LinkedIn profile handle or link is really helpful for us to reconnect with you and to kind of join this community. This is a community, by the way. It's Career Happy Hour. It happens every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time. As long as I'm alive and available and able to do these live streams, I will do them. And so go ahead and put your LinkedIn profile in the chat, because we want to offer everyone that comes here the same opportunity. And that is, hey, if someone reaches out to you, wants to have an informational meeting or a network meeting or a conversation offline, you'll say yes. Now, of course, that outreach has to be compelling. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I often get outreaches too that just aren't the best. And so one thing we can think about there is make sure your outreach is genuine, that you're not trying to sell something. You're just trying to improve your networking skills in some capacity. And so take advantage of that. Take advantage of the opportunity you have here in this half hour that we're going to be here together to actually do what you can to support someone else. And that's one of the concepts we'll actually be talking about today in recession proofing your career. So I'm old enough, and many of the people that I coach are old enough to remember the last recession, but that's maybe not true of some of the folks that would fall into Gen Z or millennial. They weren't around or even in the market or in the job, in a job during the last recession. And that was, I think, 2008, 2009. It kind of came as a hangover from the housing crisis. And at the time I was selling real estate. So believe me, I watched firsthand what happened because I was plugged in that way. And one of the things I'm actually most proud of in my real estate sales career is the fact that I only had one person ever default on a loan that was not really qualified to have one. And so I felt pretty proud about that. In all the real estate that I sold over the years, there was only one person that ended up, having to file bankruptcy or do a foreclosure. So anyway, I'm not patting myself on the back. I just felt good about that. And so one of the reasons that I want to talk about this is because there's a lot of concern right now about what recession or economic circumstance might be in our future. And I can assure you that, and we've talked about this many times on Career Happy Hour, that there are things that are going to happen that you aren't going to be able to stop or control. And that's true about any economic cycle, to be honest. But what we're going to talk about today is steps you can take as an individual in the event that a recession is going to impact you, or some kind of a financial challenge is going to come across our economy. And we're experiencing that now a lot with inflation and the different things we're experiencing. So these are things that I think may or may not be universal. Take them for what they're worth. But I will go ahead and share my thoughts here. I'll share my screen. And unfortunately, for those of you on Instagram, you won't have the capacity to see my screen. So I just put up some talking points. We'll go through these one by one. Have a chance here then to actually talk through some of these points and put your comments or questions on that sort of thing. Let's see. Hey, good, Steven, good to see you. Yeah, if you have your LinkedIn profile, put that in the chat. That's a signal to everybody that you're open to being collaborated with. Outreach is okay, and people can have a conversation with you. So here, the first thing when we're talking about recession proofing our career is to be proactive. And I believe that a lot of people in their career are not entirely proactive, and for a lot of good reasons. You may have a good job. That's true right now. There's always a calm before the storm, but I would keep my eyes and ears open, be proactive, be sensitive to what's happening in the marketplace. Doesn't mean you have to be afraid or anxious. Just be proactive, be aware, take inventory. It also means to have certain things at the ready, like a resume or updating your LinkedIn profile or establishing reconnection with members of your network. There's a lot that you can do today in preparation for a recession or some sort of economic calamity to be proactive. And so in terms of mindset, that's what I really process and consider. Is being proactive allows you to have choices and options, and to appear surface someone who's interested in building perhaps relationships with your network when there isn't a job on the line, or I'm not looking to get something from you. Being proactive means I'm establishing connection with you. You and I may be having conversations, and I'm just being available. And that's what this community is all about. It's about being available and accessible and saying yes when people want to reach out to you. Now, that doesn't mean you have to say yes to everybody. I would say if and you feel it would be valuable to them, not to yourself, to them, for you to have that conversation, then I would have that conversation. Not that it shouldn't be valuable to you, but that isn't the only barometer. And so please think about ways that you can be proactive. The second one is engage with people. Engage with people. That means the network piece. Now, if you don't like the word networking, and call it relationing or interview preparation or contribution, opportunities for contribution, whatever that is. But the idea here is if you engage with people, people hire people, and people will start to develop a level of trust with you. And there's many people, especially during the pandemic, that's kind of isolated. They went dark, if you know what I mean, that you didn't hear from them. And there was a lot of things going on. So engaging with people really allows you to be present, because here's what might happen. You might engage with people and start having conversations just to be in touch and to make sure that you're present and relevant. And all of a sudden an opportunity is presented to you. And you may feel kind of in the back of your mind, because you're being proactive, that things just aren't as stable at your company as you felt, and things changing, and maybe there was a reorganization, and your manager's acting kind of funky recently, and the budgets seem to be tightening up, and it just doesn't feel right. And so this is an opportunity for you to test the waters, perhaps engage with people, have a conversation. Maybe they funnel you into a hiring opportunity or than what you have now. Wouldn't that be great? Better than what you have now. If that's a philosophy that you can carry through the rest of your career, you'll be in a good place. Because what you have now is, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago, that what you have today is a plan B. Okay, if we look at opportunity or what we're doing today as plan B, there's always a better plan A to consider. Now, when I talk about engaging with people, what I'm really meaning isn't what you get. It's about information, advice, and connection to people. We talk about this a lot in my podcast with Scott Picard Jones. It's Job Seekers Radio. So if you have not subscribed to Job Seekers Radio, I would do that today. Now, we haven't updated or done any new episodes, and we might actually change that because we have a sense that there is going to be a coming tide where people are going to need that kind of support. They're going to need that input. I've been doing these things now, I think, for 3 or 4 years. So this has kind of been my podcast outlet. And so, I would encourage you to take a look at that podcast. But that was something of what happened in the last recession, is that Scott had an experience, and so did I. And we share some of our trials and tribulations and some that we tried and that didn't work. And we talk about the things that did work and added value. And it seems that we both decided after doing 70 or 80 episodes of that podcast, that all roads lead to networking. Like all roads in career lead to networking. If you need help with a resume, networking can help you with your resume, right? You need help with interviews. Great. Networking can help you prepare for an interview. It can help you get interviews. So there's a lot of value in networking and focus of our podcast. So again, it's jobseekersradio.com. You can go there and subscribe. You can find any of the other podcast delivery mechanisms and enjoy, please. So that's the second one. So the first one is be proactive. Second is engage. Third is develop a plan. Develop a plan. So if you know financial challenges or issues are coming, wouldn't you want to develop in advance of that, or for your career or for your finances? We'll talk about financials here in just a minute. But if I know that's coming, I had a plan that kind of maybe focused on what it is I'd really like to do and what I'm good at and how I need to be developed and who are some of the targets to work for, even though I'm not looking for work or I don't intend to leave my organization, I have a plan. And I'm going to take steps to execute that plan through networking and staying present with what job postings are available. I'm just going to be present in the marketplace. And developing a plan means just documenting what could be better than what you have now. That is our premise. Again, that plan A philosophy. What could be better than what we have now? We'd have that all on paper and we'd get really excited about it. Now we have an opportunity to identify people that can help us with that. Ones that we may not yet know. So again, engaging with people isn't just the ones you already know. It might be actually establishing new friendships, new relationships, new people in your network. So take advantage of this time now where maybe you have a lull, a vacation, and just dream a little bit. Make a plan. Put something down on paper that says this is who I am and this is what I love to do, and be okay. Give yourself permission, if you will. Can you link the podcast title? Yes, it's jobseekersradio.com. Okay. Actually, you could probably go to any podcast host and type in Andrew Beach or Job Seekers Radio and you'll find it. Okay. I can come back after one because LinkedIn doesn't have cross chat with Restream. I only get the one that's off of LinkedIn. So I have my LinkedIn open right now. So I'm doing this through a back-end service called Restream, but I will come back and send you that. I'll post that in the description of the live stream when we're done here in response to your comment. So that's the concept there, is develop a plan. Think about plan, presuming that today is your plan B. We don't want to go the other direction, right? Assuming today is our plan A and tomorrow's our plan B because there's a recession. It's a reactive strategy. So again, engage with people, develop a plan. If you just did those three things, you're going to be in a good spot for the rest of your career. And so what could we do in addition to that? We could think about, now, if I know that a recession is coming, what would I start doing? I might start increasing my emergency fund. If you have one that's got maybe months in there, 3 to 6 months of your operational expenses for your household, you might consider doubling that. And here's why. Because I know many people in the prior recession that were challenged. What do I mean by that? They had a job search that ended up taking 18 to 24 months to find the right opportunity. And that was even in them working maybe a part-time job or putting things together. They had to scrape to make it through that recession. It was real for them. And as hard as they worked and as many interviews as they went on and all that, they weren't able to secure anything for a long time. So having some sort of financial cushion or runway that we can leverage to get us through the difficult times, good idea. The other side of that is maybe thinking about things you could eliminate from your expense accounts, right? The subscriptions you have, and then finding ways you can increase or have other income streams so that you can money into savings. That's how I'd look at it. So look at your financials. What could you cut back on? What could you expand in terms of income? And then put as much as you can into savings so that you have operational and financial runway, that you're not in a position of desperation and that sort of thing. I've been in those places before too. So I get it. It's not uncommon that people might take a long time to find a job. And we don't want that to happen to you. So advantage of some of these ideas, these thoughts. So that's be proactive, engage with people, develop a plan, and look at your financials and improve those financial. The next one is new skills. New skills. So in the last 2 years, I think there's been a group of new skills we've all had to learn. We've had to learn how to be remote, how to do these video streams or these Zooms, right? We're remote work teams, and that might be something new for many of us. A lot of organizations, a lot of people, it was a normal thing to be working remotely. And so it wasn't a big deal for them. But for many of us, being at home and having homeschooling and all those things, we had to learn skills. And I think it really revealed to us a number of things. First of all, am I doing what I really love to do? It gave us time to consider that, which was not commuting anymore. We started thinking about some of the virtues of work from home, and we started making new decisions. And that's because we looked at the new skills. It gave us some space to make those decisions. So think about what skills you would like to develop that may come into demand during a recession. So I'm in the career coaching business, and whenever there's a recession, there's more people that need support because they've been laid off or transitioned out of an organization. That means more business for that. So just as there's a recession, there's parts of the recession where more business is had. And so think about the new skills that might be required for you to have, based on the fact that in a recession, there's certain industries that are impacted and certain industries that actually expand. So think about that. What new skills learn? Could you pick up some software development tools? Could you learn how to do some accounting or finance work? Could you get a certificate in something, right? So you're being proactive about this, right? And so you're identifying these skills, you're seeing trends in the marketplace, which we're going to talk about next, and you're developing those new skills. And so look at that. This is a good time to do that. Once the recession comes, that's not the time we would suggest. Not that you wouldn't look at putting to new skills, but you'd be already having new skills available to you. So the next one is follow trends. It kind of goes hand in hand with new skills. Pay attention. I mean, there are trends happening in supply chain. Supply chains are broken. It's taking 3 to 6 months to order a car. That's going to change. Lumber prices are all over the place. A lot of things happening because of supply chain. And so I look at that trend, supply chain, and what skills would I want to have in that kind of environment to improve my market? Because there's a trend that broken supply chains are a thing. How can I source different things? How can I adjust product offerings in order to accommodate a broken supply chain? So I start looking at some of those trends. I identify the skills that are necessary to be successful based on those trends. And then I'm ready when a recession comes to be the person that has more skills, more understanding than other people. So follow the trends. That's just one. So I look at, one of the trends that I think is rather interesting that's kind of come full circle is, how I remember when the pandemic first, how many people jumped onto Zoom, and Zoom saw their customer usage and customer base go up, and they had outages. It was crazy what happened. And nobody, I think, hated that so many individuals and organizations would be actually accessing one product called Zoom. And now that's kind of come full circle. Now that we're, in some cases, people are going back to the office. We don't really need the Zoom much anymore. Maybe I just go with Microsoft Teams, or, we're going to do FaceTime occasionally, or we're going to meet in person. The way we're doing things has changed. And so that's a trend, right? The trend was first, we're all remote, so we need Zoom. Some of us are remote, some of us are not. We're in a hybrid workplace. A lot of people have implemented since then Microsoft Teams. We already have a Microsoft license for other things. Teams comes with that. Why don't we just use that tool? And so you're seeing an adjustment now. And so what does that mean? Well, it may mean that Zoom starts to freeze hiring, and perhaps they start looking at going to layoffs for certain parts of their organization. Not all parts, but certain parts. And so follow these trends, follow the companies, follow the trends, see what's going on, see what might actually increase or be in demand during a recession, and be prepared for that. So if I was looking at the last recession, I was in real estate. So, one of the trends that I saw was, hey, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. So the trend is, hey, where can we get capital by foreclosures when they're dimes on the dollar? And how can we get access to those things? And outside of, and so I started looking at that trend and doing research and finding investors and people who had capital. And I just got in that mix. Not that I went after it with any kind of vigor. I did follow the trends. I made myself aware of those trends, and how could I expand my real estate business during that time when it was very difficult to find people who had equity to sell their homes. It was not very easy. And so follow the trends, find how you can play in that ecosystem, develop the new skills, look at your financials, put together a plan, right? All these things are things you probably ought to know, but we're just trying to put them in one session here that you kind of go through and consider these things. And one of those things that I think many people overlook is paying it forward. Paying it forward. Now, we can do that now. There are people now that are hurting. There are people now being laid off. There are people now throwing up the white flag on LinkedIn. I saw one that was like, hey, I've been out of work for 13 months. I've made something like 1,200. You can go to my profile. I shared it there on LinkedIn. Made like 1,200 applications. Just getting really scary. I need your help. And so what could I do with that? Well, I could share that out. I could offer my time. I could look at their resume. I could see if our HR people have any opportunities for that person. I could pay it forward, because what happens when you contribute to somebody else? You initiate the law of reciprocity. Now, it's a law. It's a universal law that if you contribute in some way, that will come back to you. It's kind of like a boomerang effect. If I give you an opportunity, or I give you this live stream, which I've now been doing for 3 or 4 years, what might happen because I'm giving you all of the information and all this value for so long? What is likely to happen for me? What's likely to happen for me is opportunities are going to come my way. Now, it might not be because it was directed an individual. It might be because the law is universal. So that person may benefit, but I might get benefit from someone else. It's not always a one-to-one kind of thing. So paying it forward is something that I'm always an advocate of. When you're in a good spot, that's the time you want to make contributions to other people. Make those contributions and it will come back to you at a later date. I now find it interesting that all the people that I over the years are now off doing this kind of thing, career support, career consulting, whatever you want to call it, career coaching. They're doing that as a pro bono volunteer at a local church. And so that church has set up a curriculum. They have mentors, which are essentially career consulting. I think it's a wonderful idea. The thing that they're noticing right now, though, is and I've noticed it too, support groups that have been around over the years, they're not seeing people attend. Why? Because the market's really good. So when the market's good and everybody is, I guess, fully employed for the most part, people don't need career support assistance. They feel like they got it figured out and they don't need support from an outsider. And so they're not engaging in these kind of support groups. And so one way to pay it forward is to get in these support groups now, even though you have a job, just say, hey, I want to be a resource. If you, I'm happy to help. I'd also like to maybe run my plan by you. Would you be open to that? Taking a look at my resume. Leverage some of these resources before you need them, because once you need them, it's going to be too late. It's going to be, oh, now I'm taking the reactive strategy I see of everyone around me. So, and it's not out of bounds, folks, to ask for help in that kind of way. I think what you're acknowledging is you can always be better. You can always get everything in your life could always be better. And if we don't believe that, then we're destined for status quo, mediocrity, all those things, they all kick in. And asking for help doesn't mean that you're diminished. It just means that you're aware and you're willing to accept help. And so get help. If that's a coach like me, great. There's a application down below. You can do that. If it's through one of these organizations that's like a job seeking support group at a church, great, go do that. But getting help and asking for support, it doesn't diminish your value at all. It just demonstrates that you're capable of accepting support from other people, which means you're coachable and you're agile and you're all those things. That's it. Recession-proof your career. Again, there's a handful of things. We'll be proactive, engage with people, develop, look at your financials, gain some new skills, follow the trends, and apply those trends to capture new skills. Pay it forward with other people, and don't be afraid to accept help from others. That's one of the ways you would actually pay it forward, is to allow you. That's a pay it forward mentality. So that's my thoughts on the topic today. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the chat or ask Jen. I'll certainly put the link to my podcast on LinkedIn there, so that one, you can have that. I appreciate that. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask those now. I'll catch them maybe on the replay, but I hope you have a great weekend. We finally got warmer temperatures here in Oregon. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you're grateful and thankful for the good weather. So hope you're safe and wonderful this Friday, and that you have a great weekend. We'll be here next Friday for Career Happy Hour. So spread the word, get the word out there. We are available. Is caring. This is the way you pay it forward, right? Is share it with your network. Send it in a private message. Put it on your Instagram, or whatever that looks like. Share it in a story, a LinkedIn, or what have you. You can do that. Good. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Friday.